That's a good solid ton. No trick shot, but that's the bread and butter of today's video. Hey darts fans, it's Timo Newman here, the transporter. Welcome to the good ship Undarted Waters. It's morning time. I'm fresh, unlike last night. And this is level 8 now of the Matthew Edgar Darts Masters series. 8 of 9, only one to go after this level. A big shout out to Matthew Edgar, links in the description below to all of his great materials, including training and punditry. So, what's going on then with level 8 challenge? Well, I have to confess first of all that this was the hardest challenge for me. And I think I've said before in these videos that if you get bored with a challenge and you're really not able to finish it, in my view, it's fine to look at the one next in line and practice the two in tandem. So that's what I ended up doing with level 8, because I was working on it for so long, I was actually starting to really resent it. And therefore, I also looked at level 9, which is actually a lot more fun, and you'll really like level 9. It's all about doubles, and it's a much funner challenge than level 8. And it turned out that I succeeded in level 9 quite quickly, to my surprise, and I was left with level 8, and it went on and on and on and on. I got so close so many times, and yet never quite finished it, and it took me several months in the end to do level 8. So in my mind, in my psychology, this is the worst level, because I had the most pain with this one. So what's going on with level 8? Why did I just hit a century today to start the video? Well, level 8 is all about, let's call them centuries, where you get a treble and 2 singles on a particular segment. And that's the challenge. And we have to do that on the 20 segment. So a treble and 2 singles. We have to do it on the 19, the 18, the 17, and the 16. And here's what makes this particularly difficult. Not one dart must miss the segment. There's no room for error. This is not a scoring game per se. All 15 darts have to be in their allotted segments. So the first 3 darts all have to be in the 20s, and at least one has to hit the treble. Now if you hit like a 180 or a 140, that's fine. But you've got to hit at least one treble, and usually what will happen is you'll get a treble and 2 singles, okay? You come down to the 19s, all 3 darts have to be in the 19 segment. At least one has to be in the treble. If you succeed at that, you go on to the 18s, and at least one dart has to be in the treble. Again, if you get 2 or 3 trebles, that's fine, but at least one has to be in the treble. Doubles are also fine, but you'll be aiming around the trebles, so don't mess around with doubles in my view for this challenge. It's really about getting what you might call a century or 100, which on the classic 20 segment would be a treble and 2 singles, okay? And if you get the equivalent of a 140 or a 180 on a different segment, say you got 2 treble 16s and a single 16, that's absolutely fine, but you're only aiming to get at least one treble. So it doesn't actually sound too bad. It's not like yesterday's challenge where we had to do 20 segments, an average 4 per segment. Here, we're just doing 5 segments, the big power scoring segments, and that's kind of the point of this challenge, is power scoring practice. And we just have to, as it were, get 5 or more points on each segment, but it must include a treble though. Okay, you can't get 2 doubles and a single, it has to include a treble. But what makes this challenge, I think, really quite tricky is that you mustn't miss any of the segments. And so whereas with our scoring game yesterday, if you missed a segment, it was no big deal. You're just trying to get as many points as possible from the segment. But here, all 15 darts have to be perfect in the sense of in their segment. And that was where I kept going wrong. I would get a century, a century, a century, and then I'd maybe be down at the 17s, very excited. And then one of my darts would stray into the 2 or the 3, game over. Start again. And several times I got down to the 16 needing a century and just fluffed my lines, and it was heartbreaking, but eventually I got it, and that was a great moment. I think I almost fainted when I finally did it. But Yeah, so in my heart, as I say, this one is the real monster, okay? But what you'll find from doing this is that your treble hitting on the power scoring numbers will really, really improve. So let's have a quick go at this, and then I'll come back and just say a few more words about the challenge. Now, because you have to kick this challenge off with a century, often you'll just get a 60 or whatever, you know, so the game doesn't really start till you hit a century on the 20 segment. So it's unlikely that I'm going to do that first time, so I won't do like take 1 or take 2 on this. I'll just cut the video here probably, and when I get a century on the 20s that starts the challenge, then I'll carry on, okay? But maybe I'll get it first time, who knows, let's see. Right, so I've got my ton, my century on the 20s there. Now it's actually a 140, but that doesn't make any difference. You just need at least one treble. So now I'm down to the 19s. Wow, it just squeaked in. I was a bit fortunate there. I think that the third dart actually deflected off one of these, but that is a century. It's 95 points, but let's call it a century, a treble and 2 singles on the 19. Now up to 18. Wow. Hey, maybe this is not such a monster after all. I've got 3 in a row. I've got my century on the 18s, now down to the 17s. This is actually where things typically go wrong for me. Anyway, let's see how we get on. Yeah, you see, there you go. That's typical Timo Newman there. I just got a little bit fearful and I didn't want to drift into the 2s, but you see 3 singles, game over. I didn't get my treble on the 17s, I have to go back to 20 and start again. So you get the idea of the game. I got 3 in a row there, but you got to get all 5. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, all with those centuries, treble, at least one treble, and then the singles, okay? And no dart can miss the segment that you're aiming for. Quite a difficult challenge. Let me just give you a bit of advice, given I feel like I'm a bit of a survivor from this challenge because it really was the worst one for me. So here's just some tips to stop this becoming really quite awful. One tip is you could waste a lot of time trying to get that first century on the 20s because the game doesn't really start till you've got a century on the 20 segment. And so very often what's going to happen is you'll get 3 singles in the 20. And now and again, what I would suggest is don't worry about continue playing the game, but just go for the other segments. Go down to the 19s, maybe try and get 3 singles, go to the 18s, try and get 3 singles. Because the thing is, if you spend 90% of your time with this challenge on the 20 segment, you're not going to get better at the other 4 segments and you are not going to complete this challenge. You need to be very comfortable on the 16s and the 17s. So if you fail on the 20 to get your century, sometimes just go through the motions. You know you're not going to win the level, but you're getting practice on those other segments. That's really important. Another thing you can do, and this is not according to the original Matthew Edgar challenge, but in my opinion, it's an equivalent challenge, is actually to just go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In my view, that's absolutely equivalent. You're still having the challenge of chopping around the board, but you're just doing it in reverse order. It's like a reverse movie of the challenge. So in my view, that's exactly equivalent. And so that might be good to do sometimes as well. If you get bored of failing, maybe going this way round, just start on the 16s, and that gives you then practice on the 16 and 17 segments. Because ultimately, again, like with all the challenges, the real point is not to complete the challenge. The real point is to improve your game. And what we're trying to improve with this game is your scoring with trebles in particular on the power scoring segments, particularly the 20, 19 and 18, but also 17 and 16 too, because those trebles are quite important for outshots, so you do need to get quite good on those trebles. Now I have to confess, halfway through my misery with this challenge, I got so fed up, I actually made a variation of it that kept me sane. And that was, I'd start on the 20, and if I didn't get a century, I would just keep going down the segments, but I would go down all the way through the board, like 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, and so on. And my personal challenge was, can I get 5 centuries in a row? So, and that actually finally happened. I got centuries on 12, 11, 10, 9, and 8 eventually. And that was a big moment for me, because then I thought, well, I can do this. It wasn't the official challenge, but I had gotten 5 centuries in a row on descending numbers, okay? So that's just a variation. It's not the official Matthew Edgar level, but it might be something to keep your spirits up or to keep you interested, because I think with these levels, particularly these later ones, they are very difficult, and you can lose, you know, basically lose motivation. I mean, I came to really resent this this challenge, I have to confess. And so these variations help me stay sane and help me improve my practice, because you don't want to waste your practice time by failing and failing and failing, okay? Because you'll be frustrated, you won't be playing well, it's not healthy. But eventually, by altering my stance, actually, this had me really thinking about my stance. Why am I not being consistent? By altering my stance, I did finally get the original Matthew Edgar challenge. And like I say, I think I almost fainted. Luckily, my younger daughter was around and she was able to bring me a cup of tea, and all was well in the end. Okay, so this is level 8 then of the great Matthew Edgar Darts Master series. I wish you good fortune with this. The final challenge I'll hope to post tomorrow in the final video of this series, in my mind, is a really fun one, really enjoyable, and finally we get to talk about doubles, because you're probably thinking, where are the doubles in all of this? Well, finally we're going to get to doubles in level 9. So with that, my friends, thank you everyone for your support. I'm really enjoying making these videos. Please send me suggestions if there are topics that you would like me to think about. Remember, I'm not anywhere near, I'm not even like a very, very good player. I'm an amateur player who plays in their room, but the reason I'm making this channel is I'm also a scientist, and so I can bring a science and maths perspective to this wonderful sport. That's my niche. That's why I'm making these videos. So if you think there's something that a nerdy scientist who likes darts can contribute to, please let me know. And maybe if it's something that I think I can do well, I'll make some videos on it. Right, all the best, my friends. 3 darts at the oche, make them count, and I'll see you next time.